Hello CS112. Today I'll be going over a quick walkthrough on how to use a tester file along with your project. So first things first, you need to download the tester file along with the .txt file that's going to feed into the tester file to test your code against some inputs. So this is the home page of the Blackboard course. So you're going to want to click on this guy, go to project description. And then right here, you'll see projects 1 along with the PDF here, which I'm sure you've read through by now. But you also will see tester1.py as well as tests.txt. It is important you download both of these. And there is a special way you should be downloading tests.txt. Copying and pasting it will give you an error. However, I'm just going to download both of these real quick. So as you can see, I now have clicked on tester1.py, has shot down here. It's already downloaded since it's a pretty small file. Now I'm just going to click and drag it into the same location as my code is. So right now we can imagine that ends p1 is .py is my Python file that I am using to, that I'm going to be submitting for project 1. So I'm going to want to move the tester in that same file location. Same with tests.txt. However, you click on this link here and you just go here, you Control-C and Control-V it into your a file here. That's going to give you an error with some white space. So what I suggest you do is when you're on this page, you either hit Control or Command C, S, Control or Command S, whatever your operating system is, and it will automatically save it for you there. Once that's done, I'm just going to click and I'm going to drag it into the file here. So this makes sure that you save it as it is, not adding anything to the bottom accidentally. And then I'm going to rename it as tests because that's the name it's expecting in the tester. So I'm actually also going to rename this to just be tester without the one at the end there. I'm not sure what that's about. So now that we have everything in the same file, now that we have all the files in the same folder, so remember our code file here, and then our tester file and the tests.txt, we are ready to start testing our code. I know you guys can just ignore cat for now, but I have ends p1 and start p1. That's just because I wanted to show you guys what happens when you run your files against the tester and how to read the output your command prompt or terminal will show you. But you can imagine that these are the same file. This is going to be the file you're submitting, the username underscore to dash dash projects1.py. So these are going to be the same file that you are submitting with the naming convention. So I'm just going to open up my command prompt. And I'm going to navigate to this path right here. So that's OneDrive, GMU undergrad, and UTA. Just to double check that I have all my files that I need, I'm going to type in dir. It's ls for Linux and Mac users. Here I have essentially the same thing I have here. So I want to make sure I have my actual code file that I'm writing code in. I have the tester file that I downloaded from Blackboard, and I have the tests.txt that I downloaded from Blackboard. Now the million-dollar question is, how do you test your code? Well, for reference, we can just scroll to the bottom of the page here, and it will tell us right here. You're going to type in Python to run Python with the tester followed by your code file here. So again, this is what I was saying, your username to XX, which is your section, and p1.py. In this case, these two files are representing that one. So let's run it with the start p1.py just to see what happens. So again, I type in Python for my operating systems. Yours might be Python 3 or simply just Py, but you guys should know by now what you guys need. So I type in Python, the name of the tester. I can hit tab to auto-complete it so I don't have to type everything. And I'm going to need to say start.py. Once I hit enter there, it's going to give me a lot of output here. So how are we going to read this? So obviously we can tell that it's testing our code against 14 tests here, saying we've passed 0 of them. If we scroll up here, we're going to just see a bunch of failures with expected, got, etc., etc. Each one of the test cases is separated by all of these number signs, so we can actually specifically see, if we actually started counting, that there are 14 of these guys in here. So now what do we need to do? Well, we need to make sure that the output we gave, which is got, matches the expected output. So in a way, this is what the tester is expecting, but it got this from our code. And we need to make our code match this exactly. This tester is even nice enough to let us know what arguments were fed exactly in order to get what we messed up in here. However, this just seems like there was an issue with our string here. So as you can see, these strings are very slightly different, but the tester will mark it wrong regardless. The tester is expecting a space after name, but there is no space here. So we would need to go into our code, make a space here, save the file, and then run it with the same commands to hopefully get a new result. So there could be plenty of things that could be different from the expected and got. They will look very similar, but it's important that you look character by character to match exactly your output with the tester to keep going. And something that will take some time to get used to is if I was to go into my code file right now and move the h over one and run it, I would still probably get 0 out of 14 tests, but I would get a new error. In programming, a new error typically means, it's typically good news if you get a new error, because that means that you have gotten further down in your code without getting an unexpected output. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like if your code actually works. So again, I'm going to type in Python to run the tester1.py along with my code, except this time I'm going to run it with ends p1.py just to show you what the end product should look like. When I run it here, as you can see, I see no error messages here. It's just a bunch of dots, the end symbols here, and you've passed 14 out of 14 tests. Something else that is interesting, if you specifically want to know which test case you're failing. So let's say the fraction was 1 out of 14, or passed 13 out of 14 tests, and you just see a single tester file here. If you count here, there are going to be 14 dots, and let's actually scroll to the top here from our previous call. These are all E's. These are 14 E's. So it's a dot if you pass that test. It's an E if you fail it. So let's say when you get this, let's say if you were down here and you only saw one test case and you're like, man, what test case did I fail? You can see which one of these dots is an E because that's your error. The dots mean you passed, the E will mean you failed it. So it's very important that you guys learn how to do this. And like I was showing you before here, you should be matching, you should always be trying to get what the tester expected. So matching it exactly down to the T. I also have noted in past semesters that a lot of people do find it easier to just copy and paste into their text editor from here, but specifically things like this, or like this little dash here, other things, those could translate to different characters in your text editor. So just to be safe, I just type these things out. I mean, like what? It's like a couple sentences at most. So just type those out. Again, it's important that you save this txt file rather than copy and paste it, because if you copy and paste it, you'll end up failing the last test because of a new line error that is implicitly added with a copy and paste into a text editor. If you have any questions on how to use this, feel free to ask on Piazza. I'm sure that you won't be the only person who has the question.